Welcome to the design cycle. This is the IB design cycle, but there's engineering design cycle, the scientific design cycle. So basically there's a design cycle for every kind of major category of thing to do because it's specified to that particular career or profession. But what we use here, since we're an IB school, is the IB design cycle, and they all have things that are in common. So if you look at the brown section here, right, and it says inquiring and analyzing. And what does that mean? It means you need to go through and explain and justify the need. So let's just say that we wanted to invent something because we wanted to not work for a company, we wanted to make our own company. So we decided that we were going to invent a bowl. That's it, a bowl for the kitchen. Okay, and so I've got bowls right here. Okay, and so the need is for people to be able to hold things in the kitchen, right, when they're creating things, whatever they're making, and they need a container to hold it. That is the need. So that's to explain and justify the need. People need to be able to cook in the kitchen, and they need a container to hold their stuff. And so that's what we've decided to make. So we have to then identify and prioritize the research. So you could then go onto like Google and find out like what kind of bowls are out there to be able to buy. And you know that there are lots of bowls. Like you go to Amazon and you're going to get thousands and thousands of bowl types that you can buy. And this is just one of them. But there are lots of containers. So you would figure out like what kind of container, what color, what materials are made. Okay, and that's when you're analyzing the existing products. You're going to find out what other people have done to solve that problem. And then you're going to decide what you're going to do, and you're going to design a design brief. And what that is just for you to be able to tell other people how your bowl is unique, different, and wonderful, and why they should buy your bowl versus those other ones. So then you want to start developing ideas. So you develop a design specification. And that's like going through and saying, okay, so I'm going to make this bowl and it's got to be metal and I want multiple sizes. And that's what the design specification is. Like, what exactly do you want? It's not enough to say you want a bowl. You have to be specific about what that bowl looks like. And then you develop design ideas by saying, okay, I very specifically want to make sure that this bowl has 4 different opportunities for people, because sometimes they only have a little bit of stuff that they want, but sometimes they're making stuff for a party and they need a big bowl. And so I want different size bowls in my design. Then you present the chosen design, which means at some point you have to make a decision about exactly what you're going to make. So you've played with different ideas, but now you're going to choose the bowl or bowl set that you're going to do, okay? And then you develop planning and drawing and diagrams, because somebody has to manufacture it. And so then you're going to get it manufactured, and they need to know exactly what they're supposed to do in order to make the bowl the way you want it. So then you are creating the solution. And so you have to construct a logical plan, which means how long is it going to take to make the bowl? Where's the bowl going to be made? If it's going to be manufactured, it's most likely going to be done in China, India, or Africa. So those are the things that you need to know. Do you need to go to the manufacturing plant and make sure everything is okay? And construct a timeline. So you need to construct a logical plan. Then you need to demonstrate technical skills. That means you like make a model. You know what I mean? Like, here's an example of what the bowl should look like. And even if that one costs a lot of money to make, you need to work stuff out. You know, it's one thing to think about something, it's another thing to actually make it real. And so it will help you alleviate problems if you make what's called a prototype. Okay, and then you're going to follow the plan to make the solution, which means you're going to get the bowl made. Okay, so you're going to actually be able to hold it in your hand, and it's going to be really cool, hopefully, or you're going to know where you need to change some stuff, okay? And then, exactly, you're going to justify changes made and to make the design. So you're like, hey, you know, this is a good bowl, except the sides of the bowl are too thick. I want them thinner. Or the metal that we're using is a little bit too strong. I can save some money by going with a different solution. So whatever that is, that's what that is. And you need to write that down because you might need to revisit it later, okay? And then the last piece is you're evaluating. So you go through and you design the testing methods. So you give the bowl or you use the bowl. You know what I mean? Like use it yourself and then figure out whether it's going to help you in the kitchen. Does it work with different materials? Does it scratch when you're using a metal spoon, et cetera, et cetera? And so you can modify your design. And then you evaluate the success of the solution. So did it work? Did it meet all the criteria that you want it to? Or again, you need to redesign something, tweak it just a little bit to make it okay. And then explain how the solution could be improved. How could you make it better? Okay, and so, you know, you guys see stuff on the market that says new and improved, right? So that is one of those things that people are going through this design cycle and they're like, we've got a brilliant idea how to sell even more units than we used to. And so we're going to new and improve our stuff. And sometimes it's actually new and improved. Sometimes it's just different. So sometimes that doesn't work, but that's the theory. Okay, and then you're going to explain the impact of the solution. So you could be making changes that would make it more organic and user-friendly to people who care about the earth. So you've got a solution. Let's say we were using one sort of packaging, but it had a lot of plastic, and so now we're not. Or there's this new kind of plastic that's biodegradable, and so while we're using plastic, yes, it biodegrades in 90 days. So when we pack our stuff, we can advertise that, and then that would put us a step ahead of the other people because they're still using the old-fashioned plastic. And so things like that help you to explain the impact of the solution to your customer and make your product more user-friendly. So I'm hoping that the example of the bowls gives you an overview of how to use the design cycle. And so now your job is to use the design cycle and help me understand that you understand this cycle. So all I'm going to ask you to do is for inquiring and analyzing. Okay, you've got a couple of steps and I've given you a sheet, okay, but you are going to list the problem. You're going to write down some problem that you want to use as an example, like I did with my bowls, around using the design cycle. So number one is to list the problem. Number two is to tell me what other people have done to solve the problem that you've chosen to solve. So that means, remember when I went on the internet and I looked at like stuff on Amazon to see how many types of bowls, they made bowls out of metal and plastic and, you know, bowls that only had one bowl versus I want a bowl set, you know what I mean? So I went on and looked at what other people have done. Then step number three, you're going to create your own solution to the problem. So I wanted to make sure that I had 4 bowls in my set because that's what was important to me. Okay, and I wanted my bowls. In fact, if I were making bowls, I wouldn't exactly use this metal. So anyway, just talk about what your solution is. Number 4, list out the tools and materials that you're going to need to create your solution. So like for example, I would use a different type of metal. I like these 4 bowls. These are good size. I would probably do a smaller bowl here, so I would have a 5-bowl set. And I would just use a slightly different type of metal because there's one that's easier to clean, and cleaning up quick is important to me. And then number 5, what I want you to do is share your idea with another person and then ask them whether they would buy your product. So explain it to them and then ask them if they would buy your product. And then reflect on what they say and what you think in terms of how you might be able to make your product better, and write that down. And then that's it. Then you are done with the design cycle, and then you're going to work on your sewing project. Congratulations!